A century ago, cast iron was the only cookware. Today, it's the cookware of choice for many top chefs. The LODGE cast iron skillet will cook your bacon on a campfire as well as it will grill your steak on a stovetop.
You can do almost any kind of cooking that you want to in it.
Virtually indestructible with even heat distribution and an exclusive pre-seasoning process make LODGE the must-have for every cook, from home chef to gourmand.
In the United States, we were the first one to introduce seasoned cast iron into the market.
From molten hot metal, this frying pan is pulled right out of the fire and into the kitchen.
We want to make sure that we do remain the best cast iron cookware in the world.
For over 100 years, LODGE Manufacturing Company has been producing cast iron cookware from their Foundry home in South Pittsburgh, Tennessee.
The reason that Joe Lodge chose this location is that the source of iron ore, there was a source of water, the Tennessee River, there was coal in the mountains.
Those raw materials were the catalyst for the cast iron process. Today, it's done a little differently.
We have a certain recipe that we run up there. They've worked on it for years to try to get good quality products out.
And that recipe is pig iron, a high carbon content metal, steel, and scrap returns. The metal is placed in a pre-melt hopper. Each batch is heated to a scorching 2,800 degrees Fahrenheit, more than double the heat of the hottest lava.
Time is very important when we're moving pretty fast. You've got to keep iron flowing pretty steady.
Moving fast, but without interrupting the flow of molten iron, samples are taken at different stages for testing.
We test a sample off of the melt deck once an hour, and that's to watch our chemistry and make sure that we stay within the limits that we have set.
The materials in the original recipe are raw metals that can have an inconsistent chemical balance. The levels must be kept within a certain tolerance.
We can know 19 different elements. Of those 19 different elements, we only check carbon, silicon, phos, sulfur, manganese.
All the other elements are called tramp elements. They are tracked as one. If their level starts to rise, they are diluted by adding more pig iron.
The statement is solution to pollution is dilution. So when we look at our tramp elements as climbing, that's our kind of pollution, and we want to make sure we keep that under control.
Once the chemistry test is passed, the molten metal moves on to be molded into cookware.
Foundries have always fascinated me because you have the hot metal that you're pouring into the molds and actually making something for people to use.
Making a mold that will hold up against hot metal takes some care. The process starts with a mixture of sand and bentonite clay.
It goes through a muller, which is just a giant mixer, and it mixes the sand, the bentonite, which is a clay, and water to form the mixture that we use in the molds.
The mold mixture is tested for permeability and strength to make sure it will hold up when the heat hits it.
We're testing for the permeability. That's the ability for air to move through a compacted specimen.
Compactability is how the sand is compacted together to help keep the mold together as it is made and poured.
The compacted sample is solid and very dense.
This is what it looks like after you're done with your compactability test.
Next, to test the strength, the samples are compressed to the breaking point. They must withstand 29 to 32 pounds per square inch.
We want to know what is the strength of the mold to make sure that it will hold up when the hot iron is put inside of it and not crack and fall apart.
Now that both molds and metal have passed inspection, they finally meet and make cookware.
The iron is automatically poured into the molds as they index out of the machine.
The molten mix must be poured between 2,480 and 2,520 degrees Fahrenheit.
The reason for that is if we pour too cold, the metal will freeze before it nets together. If we pour too hot, the metal will burn into the sand.
Next, the freshly formed cookware is broken free of its sandy mold and put through a shot blasting machine.
Blasting process is where we have a machine that you apply steel shot drops into and spin the shot down onto the casting to clean the sand off of it.
The metal shots that pummel the cookware are incredibly powerful.
It would peel your skin off. Well, you would be nothing. It would take your bones too.
Shockingly, it's still not enough to eliminate all the sand particles. A second blast of fine steel shot takes them to a polished finish.
And when they come out, they will be a bright, shiny color.
Heading into the last stages, the skillets are laundered, then seasoned before packaging.
Seasoning cast iron is not a matter of putting salt and pepper on it. It's a matter of getting some baked-on coating.
Oil baked onto the cookware can be maintained, even repaired, giving it a longer lifespan. Not the case with commercial non-stick coatings.
You could pick up a skillet that we made 117 years ago, and it would be almost indistinguishable from one that we made today.